How do you define coaching and how do you define consulting? In this video, we are going to talk about the legal impacts behind how you define what you do. My name is Liku Amadi, founder and attorney of Anasa Law Firm, where I work with coaches, consultants, and expert service providers to help them establish a solid legal foundation for business. My bread and butter is contracts, particularly client contracts, which is why we're talking about coaching versus consulting today and how you define that with your clients, right? Your client contract isn't just something you check the box on before you collect money. It's not something that you want to quickly bypass in order to start working with your clients. It is the legal foundation of your client relationships. It is your guide. It is that structure that allows you to lead your client from point A to point B so they can get their bang for their buck, right? You do not want to take your client contract lightly. So we need to understand the concepts and the ideas and the policies and procedures that are all embedded in those client contracts. So again, today we're talking about how you define coaching versus how you define consulting. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. Send me a DM later so we can get into it. Okay. Coaching versus consulting. Now, we're not going to put the two against each other, but we are going to show that the two are defined very differently, and any person defines each one differently. You can have a summit full of hundreds of coaches, and I can almost guarantee you, I'm 99.7% sure that every coach will have a different definition about what they do, about how to describe coaching. And maybe the same for consulting as well, right? As an attorney, I practice law, and I can tell you that while I know all other attorneys practice law, each state has a different definition of what that means. It's pretty close, right? Kind of similar, but they do have their specific definitions. There's a definition for the practice of medicine, right? So we have these defined things. When it comes to coaching, not so much. When it comes to consulting, not so much. But we do have an idea of what that means. And when it comes to working with clients, when it comes to breaking down and explaining what you do before somebody invests tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in your services, you have to be very clear about that, right? Just to know that, or have just to assume that someone has the same idea about what coaching or consulting means is not enough. And from a risk standpoint, from a legal standpoint, you don't want to bank that someone's just on the same page as you because they're looking for coaching, because they're in need of consulting services. You have to have a way that you define that. The way that you define coaching is going to set expectations. The way that you define consulting is going to set expectations for your services. They're going to lay down the foundation as to what the client should be going through, what they should expect, those deliverables or the results at the end, right? So if you're not clear up front, the end result may not be as clear as well. The process and the method under which you work with people may not be clear as well. So again, how do you define coaching and how do you define consulting? I actually asked this question on social media, and I'm going to read how some people define coaching. I'm going to read how some people define consulting, so you can see the difference. There's such a variety of ways that people explain what they do, and I have my iPad right here. So coaching, I love this one actually. Coaching is for your person. Consulting is for your business. Very clear cut, right? Coaching is where I ask questions to help you find your answers, help you craft a plan, help you overcome obstacles, and hold you accountable. Consulting gives a lot more strategic direction and advice based on my own expertise. So what I'm reading are people defining coaching and consulting. Coaching is you hired me to help you do a thing. We're going to do it together. Consulting is I tell you what to do. It's your choice if you're going to do it. Coaching is helping someone uncover an answer already inside or through their own expertise or effort. And consulting is telling them the answer from your expertise. I'll do one more. Coaching is pulling me towards what you want to pulling hello Coaching is me pulling what you want to do out of you, and consulting is me telling you what I would do. So I think we can sense a theme here as to the difference between coaching and consulting and how people define each. But the point is, they are very different. They are explained differently. And when you're working with clients and they ask you, what do you mean by coaching? Like, what does that entail? What do you mean by consulting? What does that entail? You're going to have to sit there and break it down for them, because you do want them to have an understanding of what you mean when you say this, what you mean when you're selling this service, what you mean when you say you're going to coach them or provide consulting services for them, again, so that you two can be on the same page and they're not assuming that because they're looking for coaching or because they're looking for consulting that you are on the same page. As it relates to results and deliverables, right? I think coaching more than consulting is a little more, I want to say creative, but the results are less tangible, right? So for example, and this really depends on the type of coaching you do, because there's what I've seen as an attorney, just a variety of things that you can coach in. But for example, if you're a money mindset coach and the outcome or the result is for someone to have a stronger money mindset, that's very hard to measure, right? That's very hard to measure. Arguably, you as the coach can say, like, yes, I did A, B, and C, and because of that, they have a better money mindset after working with me. But the client could feel differently, like, yeah, we went through A, B, and C, but I still have this block, I still have this contention. Like, I don't really feel like my money mindset improved, right? And unless you do some type of strategic assessment or some type of just way to measure where they started and where they're at, like, there's really no way, or it's very difficult to measure that, right? It's very difficult to tell someone, like, you now have an improved money mindset. That's something that could come immediately for some people, and it's something that can come over time for other people, right? So again, when we're going back to defining what we're doing, is it you as a money mindset coach? Are you giving people an improved money mindset? And what exactly does that mean, right? We need to define coaching, but we also need to define what it means for people to get X result that we're selling to them. But then more so, it might be better to say, like, hey, I'm a money mindset coach, and what I do is provide you the tools to give you a better, to help you develop a better money mindset through your business journey, right? Way different. So if we have the same scenario where a client is like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it after A, B, and C. I don't feel like my money mindset was improved. Like, that's one scenario. But if we use the definition that I just gave, where you're providing someone with the tools to help them develop their money mindset over time throughout their business journey, that is way different. You can say that you gave them those tools. You can say that you gave them that toolbox, if you will, whatever those tools consist of, that they're free to, implement or use over time to help them develop their money mindset. That, do we see the difference, right? Do we see the difference between saying coaching is one thing and then saying coaching is another thing, or what you do as a coach specifically? That's why it's important to be specific and break it down, because when you think about the end result, how can it come back? Did that person get what they invested in? They might feel good. It might have been fun to work with you. Key, you made a new client friend, but at the end of the day, was business handled? Did they get the return on their investment? And it is up to you to define that via what you mean by coaching, via what you mean by consulting. And I think consulting is a little bit easier because it's more, from what I've seen, it's a little more data driven, right? Like you're being given something, you're being given information, you're being given tools, like something going on with the business that you then take, strategize, consult about, develop a method, etc. But the outcome is the same. It still needs to be very defined, very clear, so that if someone comes back to you and says, hey, I thought you were supposed to deliver these 7 deliverables to us, but number 3 really doesn't count because when we talked in our last meeting about X, Y, and Z, it didn't seem like right. You want to be able to measure and have a clear cut way of, did I deliver this service? This is what it meant when I said that I was going to coach this person, that I was going to consult with this person or for this person. This is what we did. This was the outcome, right? You want to be able to measure that because you don't want to have a gray area or a dispute or potential legal battle after someone has invested, again, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in your services and did not get the outcome. And at that level, or any level really, when you're asking people for their money, when you're asking them to invest in your services and trust that you can help them and they're doing that, you want to be as clear cut as possible, most certainly at those 5, 6, 7 figure levels, but at any level for, integrity purposes, not just legal protection purposes, but for integrity purposes, for operational purposes, to make sure that, again, you are clear in the service that you're providing, how you're going to provide it, and the results that come of it. So, what's next? What do you do? Now that you understand that coaching and consulting, we have an idea about them, and if you do one, if you do both, this applies to both categories, that you need to clearly define what they mean. If you cannot if a client asks you and you can't tell them what coaching means, what consulting means with regard to the services that you are selling to them, then that's problematic. But it's okay because you're here and you're listening to this live, you're listening to this video. So here's your opportunity to sit down after you watch this, take 5 to 10 minutes and say, based on these services, based on what I've done for people, based on how I work with people, like, this is the definition. And if you have a definition already, look at it and see if it's really clear. Like I told you with the money mindset example, it's one thing to say that, I'll help you improve your money mindset, right? It's another thing to say, I will provide you with tools that you can use to help develop your money mindset over time. Two completely different things, right? Two completely different things. So if you have a definition, read it and say, like, is what I'm doing is like as a coach or consultant or in both capacities, is it clear, right? Can I go back and measure what I've done for people? Is it clear in how I'm going to help them? So this is your opportunity to do that. I hope that this insight was helpful. I hope that before you sign your next client, you are even more clear in what it means for you to provide coaching services and what it means for you to provide consulting services, or even a service where sometimes you do both, because that is very common in this space as well. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know what aha moments there are. Drop them in the comments and I will catch you on the next live.